Rhea Ripley weighs in on her biggest career jeopardy before WWE Evolution. Rhea Ripley's health scare is back. After a close call at WrestleMania 41, your favorite Eradicator is now fighting a huge uncertainty over her brewing Women's World Championship title defense match against Io Sky. The WWE Evolution is inching closer, with Ripley gasping over some health boost. The blame goes to her off-screen friend and on-screen foe, Raquel Rodriguez. Let's just hark back to that brutal back body drop onto the announcer's table at WWE NXT New Year's Evil 2021. Breathtaking yet commendable, just the way it should be. After all, Mommy's resilience speaks through her performance despite having lasting aches and pains. But she has a confession to make. A nagging back injury from WWE NXT days still keeps Rhea Ripley on her toes. Speaking from a point of raw human view with no monster muscle memory, Ripley came clean on her legit insecurity. I think it actually started from the match I had with Raquel in NXT, where she gave me the back body drop onto the announcement table, but we undershot it, the former Judgment Day member said in a recent interview with Chris Van Vliet. I hit the very edge of the table, right on my lower back. After that, my lower back was just never the same. Sure, Mommy is not foreign to the grueling injuries, the darkest reality behind the glint of a squared circle. She has her own coping mechanism to fight the drawbacks. Ripley credited her personal masseuse for helping her manage to show up at WrestleMania 41. Matthew, come over and he works on it. He helps stretch me out and puts my hips back in line pretty much, Ripley shared, and just fixes all that. And thank God for him that he comes over to help. Matthew helped her to be able to wrestle that night. Even though Io Sky defended her title with an electric win over Ripley and Bianca Belair, the 28-year-old thanked the Almighty to just perform to the best of her ability. But the main pain in the neck is the issue persists. After WrestleMania, but since Rhea started to wrestle more, slowly adjusting her body to the risks and tears, her back started to act up again. She didn't stretch on her own. Something the fan-favorite WWE diva didn't even try to cover up with an excuse. It's just slowly tightened up, but that's because I just don't stretch on my own, so that's my fault as well. It gets really bad, Ripley spoke out her underlying fear. I don't know if it's a sciatic thing or whatnot, or just my body in itself, the shape of my body and how I'm put together. All you can do now is to keep your fingers crossed and wait with bated breath to watch the beast in her full power on July 14. Rhea Ripley's cryptic apology to Io Sky after WWE RAW confrontation. Rhea Ripley, a former WWE Women's World Champion, clashed with Io Sky and Bianca Belair in a heated confrontation. Last week on WWE RAW, Io Sky defeated Ripley to capture the Women's World Championship. Ripley was distracted by #1 contender Bianca Belair, who was sitting at ringside and cheering for Sky throughout the match. This led to Ripley getting frustrated with Belair for supporting Sky. The distraction proved costly, as Ripley, who was on the verge of retaining her title, suffered a shocking loss. On the latest episode of WWE RAW, Bianca Belair had a face-to-face confrontation with her WrestleMania 41 opponent, Io Sky. However, they were interrupted when Ripley stormed down to the ring and got in Belair's face, intensifying the tension. The Women's World Champion Io Sky tried to separate them. However, both Belair and Ripley shoved her aside. In response, Sky slapped both Ripley and Belair, asserting her frustration over their actions. Later, Io Sky expressed her feelings on social media, addressing the situation by calling them friends. Sky urged them to step away from their phones to avoid further conflict. Rhea Ripley reacted with a sarcastic reply and a rolling eye emoji, subtly hinting that their tension was far from resolved. What's next for Rhea Ripley and Io Sky after their WWE RAW showdown? Following the heated showdown on WWE RAW, Rhea Ripley's road to WrestleMania 41 remains uncertain. Meanwhile, Io Sky and Bianca Belair are set to clash for the Women's World Championship on the grandest stage of them all. Reports suggest that WWE is considering adding Ripley to the match, potentially turning it into a triple threat for the title. With Ripley already entangled in the rivalry between the champion and the challenger. It will be interesting to see how she inserts herself into the title picture at WrestleMania 41. WWE stars to join new Rhea Ripley faction. WWE star Rhea Ripley is a fan favorite who currently is running without any backup, making it a prime time to start a faction. From NXT stars that could gain a big opportunity through the move to others who could use aligning with Ripley to reinvent themselves, there are some intriguing choices. Here are 5 WWE stars that could join a new faction headed up by Rhea Ripley, with both Izzy Dame and Tatum Paxley coming into their own and really blossoming as characters in the past year. It would make sense to see them called up to the main roster sooner rather than later. Why snag only one recruit from NXT's faction the culling when Rhea Ripley could just take both Paxley and Dame under her wing? While the duo are currently paired with Shawn Spears and Nico Vance on NXT, it could easily make sense in storyline that the pair would be picked up by Ripley. Preview and predictions for WWE's Evolution featuring Rhea Ripley vs Io Sky. The second Evolution PLE features 4 championships, including Rhea Ripley vs Io Sky and Trish Stratus vs Tiffany Stratton. Plus, a huge battle royal will determine a new challenger. You know, I have to be a negative Joe here. I'm very disappointed in the build to Evolution 2. I actually thought that the first show was quite good with the Becky/Charlotte Last Woman Standing match being a classic, but WWE has barely put any effort into most of these matches. This should be a good show, but I'm concerned that this might be a flop financially because it's obvious that the purpose of Evolution 2 is mainly to screw with AEW. That's just the way business is, so I wouldn't go into a tangent about that, but it would have been nice to craft some strong stories that showcase how diverse these women really are. Like I said, there's some solid stories going in, but Evolution 2 feels like a throwaway event that should actually feel special. Nevertheless, now that the ranting is over, let's get started with the first match. WWE Women's World Championship match, Io Sky, C, vs Rhea Ripley. I genuinely don't know who is going to win here. Sky's title reign has consisted of Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair. That's it. Clearly, Liv Morgan was going to challenge Sky for the title, but she went down with an unfortunate injury. I don't see Sky keeping the belt for long, which is sad because she's done an excellent job as a babyface this year. But I don't see the point in giving Ripley the win here. They killed a potential challenger like Roxanne Perez during that mini-tag feud earlier this year. I guess there's Stephanie Vacker, but she's also a babyface. Maybe Scarlett? I don't know. But it's pointless to give the belt back to Rhea. It would actually be better for her to go down and feud with Becky for the IC title a bit. Or, putting Rhea onto the SmackDown brand could do her some good. I don't know who will challenge for the women's title at SummerSlam. It's possible that these two could have one final match at SummerSlam with a stipulation attached to it, but then that would mean a screwy finish here. Honestly, this should have a clean end with another name stepping forward and challenging Io at SummerSlam. My focus is on Clash at the Castle, and spoiler alert, I think Stephanie Vacker is winning that match. Stephanie and Io have unfinished business, and I see WWE going in that direction. It wouldn't be impossible if Rhea won here, but why? Rhea is awesome and she can have secondary feuds that don't revolve around a title. Winner, Io Sky. WWE Women's Championship match, Tiffany Stratton, C, vs Trish Stratus. You with me, and the homeless guy in front of Dunkin' Donuts can easily guess who wins here. There's a slight possibility that Trish wins and Naomi cashes in minutes after, but this match feels way too random for WWE to give Trish such a huge win, even if it's meant to last for a couple of minutes. Tiffy time isn't ending just yet. Winner, Tiffany Stratton. NXT Women's Championship match, Jacy Jayne, C, vs Jordynne Grace. I instantly had Jacy Jayne's name written down, but I'm not too sure as of now. On one hand, if WWE wanted to give Grace the title, then why not have her beat Stephanie Vacker? That makes so much more sense. Add in that there's a rivalry between Jacy and Blake Monroe currently going, and then the decision seems obvious. But, another loss, even protected, damages Grace a bit. Granted, she doesn't need the NXT Women's Championship. In fact, I'm stunned that she didn't join Vacker, Perez, and Julia on the main roster. Plus, there's the TNA title versus title match the following week, and I can see Grace going in representing NXT. JC's feud with Blake is on a personal level, so they can have their match and the former AEW Women's World Champion can move on. But there's so much more in favor of JC that triumphs anything with Grace. I have to admit, if the title changes hands, then WWE cleverly made it seem like this match was a foregone conclusion, as there's multiple red herrings. I'm going with Grace here. I think Slamovich is losing at Slammiversary, and I can see Grace 2 belts more than JC. I wouldn't be surprised if I was wrong, but it is a good thing that this match isn't as predictable as it started out to be. Winner, Jordynne Grace. WWE Women's Tag